Batman Arkham Knight is the third and final entry into the Arkham Trilogy of Batman-centric video games developed by Rocksteady Studios, who are currently working on the, let's say, controversial Suicide Squad game. I'm sure you don't need me to explain why it's controversial, and if you don't know why, I'm sure you'll find out one way or the other. Arkham Knight follows Batman in dealing with the Arkham Knight, I guess we now know where the name comes from, as well as Scarecrow, recently returned from his post-Crocodile encounter in Arkham Asylum. Scarecrow is hoping to prove to the world that anyone and everyone can feel fear, most specifically Batman if we're being honest, and that the world might, in the words of Carnifex, die without hope. The Arkham Knight is helping him out, specifically because he has some kind of vendetta against Batman, seeming to know more about him than anyone else, giving both him and the militia under his command an edge that the other foes in Batman's rogues gallery are severely lacking. Batman has more than just these two to deal with, however, as it turns out some of the Joker's blood, through some shenanigans in Arkham City, has found its way within the bloodstream of 5 unlucky individuals, one of which is unfortunately Batman himself, so is contending with the voice acting of Mark Hamill in his mind more than just face-to-face now. All of this occurs on Halloween in Gotham, and as the game opens with informing you, is the night that Batman dies. So, here's the thing, the story is pretty good, but there's one specific aspect of it that really misses the point, and I'll be mentioning it now since I've got it on my mind. Beware spoilers for both Arkham City and Arkham Knight. Head here if you don't want that. So, the second game, Arkham City, ends with Joker killing Talia al Ghul, unrelated to the rest of this, it's just something I'm messing for context's sake, and then dying himself. But before his death, Joker infected Batman with his blood, which in turn leads to Joker being in Batman's head throughout the entirety of Arkham Knight. This is important as it lays the groundwork for the constant battle over Batman that takes place for pretty much the entire game. Though Scarecrow doesn't really know what's going on, he seems to become convinced that while under the effects of his fear gas, Batman would be willing to do a lot out of fear, after seeing a Joker-controlled Batman beat up some of his goons and apparently nearly kill them. Importantly, at his side is naturally the titular Arkham Knight, this militaristic figure who seems to know a lot about Batman, which is where my problem is. There's pretty much no setup for his potential identity in the prior games, which makes the teasing as to who he could be via Joker's visions just really obvious. It also didn't help that Warner, prior to the release of this game, was just like straight up lying about who he is. The Arkham Knight is only an original character in that it's a new title for a character that has existed in the comics for a long time. Yes, it is Jason Todd. Even after it's revealed that he's the Arkham Knight, his helm becomes red, so he's fully turned into the Red Hood now. Admittedly, it's a cool little transition from Arkham Knight to Red Hood, but I'm still annoyed more so by the lie than the reveal if I'm being honest, and the lack of real setup for it. It's the most obvious plot twist, with Joker's visions hammering the point so much that it's almost comedic that Bruce is surprised when the reveal happens. It was just disappointing. There were also some other fake-outs tied to the story. Barbara died. Oh fuck. Oh god. Except no, she didn't, although there is kind of a setup for that reveal if you're paying attention initially, which I genuinely think is nice. This is the story of how Batman died, except he doesn't die, he's just revealed as being Bruce Wayne at the end, kinda? After the Nightfall Protocol, the mansion goes up in flames, but it's kept vague enough that whether or not he's actually dead is entirely up for debate. Past the story, the biggest change in this game is, the Batmobile. Since this takes place in the entirety of Gotham, it makes sense that your traversal options would be expanded upon past gliding. But more than just traversal, the Dark Knight's Dark Ride also has capabilities in a firefight. Kudos, by the way, for making every combat vehicle unmanned so as not to remove the believability of Batman's whole no-killing rule. Point is, Batmobile has a gun on it, and Batman's not afraid to use it. He can even use it in tandem with himself to take out enemies he's in a brawl with. Also, as a result, there's a slew of new puzzle possibilities, as well as the addition of racetracks. Yeah, no shit, built by Riddler, which raises questions that I'm too lazy to really think about, but either way, their existence is beneficial to your understanding of what the Batmobile can do. It's also good that Riddler has two separate things going on, the first being his normal hostage thing, but the other are his trophies. The only reason that I consider this good is because I don't feel a need to collect the trophies, which house extra goodies and not any story or more specifically side story content behind finding 400 glowing question marks and riddles found in the game world. There are also less this time, which is good. Those still do exist, but there's no real pressure to do them outside of seeing those extra goodies. Having said that, there's still more than enough to do in Gotham outside of Riddler's collectibles. At the start of his whole plan, Scarecrow announced to the city, "Hey, I'm about to ruin your whole city, make y'all super scared and stuff," so Gotham was evacuated, leaving not behind but looters and the usual super criminals you might expect. Gotham is covered in people who either want Batman dead or want to take advantage of the chaos. Either case, Batman has a lot to do, including some of the things that were, and to some degree still are, popular in open world games, fortresses that are defended by your enemies. As a plus, it's not like the story's locked off behind a, "you need this percentage completed of side content." That's just good, and the story even stops every so often to remind you that there is side content you can do, titled Gotham's Most Wanted, that isn't necessary for the story. You can ignore them if you want, though your completion rate with them can dictate which of the two versions of the ending you might get. These side missions also hold more than just Arkham City's side missions did, so bonuses all around. Combat also feels just slick as hell, though I do have my gripes about it. Well, I say gripes, it's one gripe specifically. Some enemies can charge at you to temporarily knock you down to the ground, and there's a counter possibility for it, so in theory, you should be able to deal with it, give you something to deal with and a means of countering whatever you're dealing with. That's a great way to deal with, combat, especially in a game like this where countering is so integral to the combat loop. Here's the thing, occasionally it looks and feels like they just caught me when I wasn't really near to them, especially not near enough to have been caught, but still got caught. It's a small thing, but it was definitely noticeable. Countering that are some cool additions like the fear takedowns, which are takedown variants that allow you to take down multiple foes in this quick spectacle of knocking people the hell out, and the new variants of foes. Some are medics, which have limited use items that can revive enemies or electrify enemies so that they can't be touched. Others carry around controls for manned drones for those stealth sections. There's a lot going on in terms of both stealth and combat, and it feels like the ultimate iteration of what Rocksteady has been steadily perfecting since the first entry in the series. Well, how about the audio and voice work? Do you really even have to ask?
This is as high as the elevator will go.
Poor bastard. He ain't gonna be able to live with himself when he finds out what he did in that diner.
He's gonna lose his badge for sure.
Owens is a good cop, lives for the job. He don't deserve this.
This demonstration used just 5 ounces of my latest toxin. Tomorrow, this will seem like child's play. Gotham, this is your only warning.
So does the Knight have more jobs lined up for us after tonight? It's like Batman's the only thing he cares about.
Batman Arkham Knight is the final entry in a well-regarded and some would even say legendary trilogy. The combat and the stealth feel as good as they've ever felt, and honestly it's, I think, perfect. Though I get the feeling that if Rocksteady were pressed, they could probably build on it with even greater and loftier heights of Batman badassdom. The story was interesting, especially since it involved more of the Bat family than just Batman, Oracle, and Alfred, though some of its story elements could have been set up better, and its ending didn't nearly have the same impact on me as Arkham City's ending did originally. It's a great game, full stop, and shocking no one, like with its predecessors, I do recommend it. Twitch, Twitter, like, comment, subscribe. Now, if you'll excuse me, there are things I have to do, like get married, I guess. I'll see you later. Story out.